Hey everybody, welcome back to Stamping School. I've got an older bundle to show you today. This is still current in our annual catalog. It's called Lighting the Way, and I got a request from Mary in Toronto, and she said she bought this bundle a year or so ago and she never used it. And I went to look for it and I hadn't used it either, so we're gonna do it today. So if you bought this bundle, or if you have something with fireflies in it that you want to create a glow, or maybe it's a night scene, or maybe it's UFOs or whatever it is. If you want to create this glow, I'm going to show you how to do that. If you want the stamp set reference, it's in the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog, page 24. Down at the bottom here, stamp set's 23, and then the dies are back here on page 164, right here for 31. So the stamp set is nice. It's got "You Are All Kinds of Wonderful," "Thanks for Lighting the Way," "Follow Your Dreams." So the dies have this lamp, and then these greenery swags here, and then all the fireflies. So with the sentiments, there's this little swoosh of fireflies, or lightning bugs, depending on where you come from. And 3 of these little glows, a little sprig. And then these, I think you get 3 of these, this size, that you can just cut them out. You can color them if you want to. You can stamp them, and there's dies to cut those out. And then there's this really big one that freaks me out just a little bit. Now, I love bugs. I love them. But this one, and maybe it's the way I colored it, but it looks a little waspy to me. So I'm wondering, I Googled what a firefly looks like up close, and it did have red on it, but I'm thinking I'm going to take off some of that red, maybe like that. Let's try that. Anyway, you assemble him together, and it'd be really pretty with vellum wings, and you can actually use the wings for other things. So that's the dies. All right, I'm going to show you how to do this background, and then I'll show you another card that's a little bit easier. This is what I started off with, and I masked it, and it looks like there's bugs carrying tennis balls all over the sky. It just didn't work for me because I masked everything out, and then so I covered it up and then sponged it, and although I like the technique in the background, it just looks funny. And then my second one I got too much water spots, and I'll show you how to avoid that. And then this was the third and final one, and I like it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my white paper and I'm going to just tack it down so it doesn't move around while I'm working. I cut this out with a deckled rectangle because I like that look on here. So we start with white so we can keep this white glow around it. And I'm using a yellow. I'm going to do the glow first. And there's a reason. I did one big glow here. And we're going to do a medium one over here, and then the little one down here. What happened was I stamped the bug first in the navy ink, and then I went over it with this, and it picked up the blue ink. And then I went to stamp again. I got blue ink in here, so unless you clean every time after each one, it'll pick up a little bit of that blue, and then I was getting it in my pad. So I'm doing these first. And I'm using navy instead of black. You could use black, that'd be fine. But the other thing that I did the first time when they were carrying the tennis balls all over the sky is I put it up too high. And it looked like he was carrying it. You almost have to put it down, halfway down, so that the glow is kind of coming out from him, I guess. All right, here's a little medium one right here. And the little bitty one we'll do right down here. All right, now let that dry a second. Now I used my blending brushes and a sponge dauber. Sponge dauber is first, and you really don't want any ink on it. Very little. This has some blue that's kind of still on there. And I'm using very, very little, and we're going to go around to create that halo like this. So we want to avoid going around here. And that's the other thing. You want to make sure you stamp these far enough apart that you've got room to get around there. So just come around, and this means stay away from what's in the circle. Okay, so you're just kind of starting there. Then we can come in with the bold colors. I like to start with the azure or Tahitian tide or some kind of a turquoise. Start with just a little bit lighter blue and start bringing this color in. Stay away from your circle and don't worry how it looks right now. All you're doing, see, I went a little too close. That's why you want to keep it away from that circle. Don't worry about how it looks yet. Just get the color on. This is going to create a nice slick surface. And that's why we like some of these little brushes to come in here. You can use your sponge daubers. I like the way the brush blends though. All right, so we're just going to get some of this pretty blue on here. Stay away from your circle. It's really hard not to go crazy. That's why you want a little bit bigger, because it's going to happen and you're going to get a little closer. So if you just stay away from it, you know, just know you're probably going to get some in there, and that's okay. And don't worry if it's splotchy. Don't worry about the splotchies. Okay, there's the first one. Now we're going to go in with the darker. I'm using Blueberry Bushel. You want it to be just slightly brighter than whatever you're stamping this other stuff in. These are some greenery we're going to put there, and these are a navy. Now you can start with the blueberry if you want to, but it's nice to have just a little bit different color variance on it. So you're just going to work your way through here, doing some swipes, blending. Let me use this bigger one. This is not something you're probably going to make 20. This is for someone special. It's going to take a little while. Okay, I'm going back to my small one. We need to get this in here. So I'm going to add this color in, and then we're going to come in with one more color just to make sure that it doesn't look too one note. Now I've got it pretty blue. I want some variances in it. You see how it just kind of got closer and closer as I was trying to blend? Now, what you want to do is take this, allow the ink off, and you want to just barely touch it right there. Just kiss it just a little bit to sort of blend in right there. Just, you don't want it too stark, right? You want it to have a little bit, just a glow. You'll know when it's right. You'll be looking at it and say, oh, okay, I'm going to stop here. All right. Orchid Oasis, or a purple, gorgeous grape, some kind of pretty purple. Take a pretty purple and just kind of swipe it in here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, we haven't added our little wash of speckles yet, so I just want a little purple in here for the sky, the night sky, and it'll look nice, just a little bit. This one's bothering me on this side. The hardest thing to do is walk away because I got a little purple right here, but okay, we're not done yet. Don't judge it yet. Now we need to create all these water spots. So rather than mask them all and take the time, I'm just going to cover them up with a few little circles just to protect them from the water. This is a water-based ink, so what we're going to do now is create these little water spots everywhere. Now, my favorite way is to just take a little bit of water in a tin or a little container and a paintbrush. What happened on this one is I used my aqua painter, and while these are wonderful for a lot of things, too much water came out when I was trying to control it. On a little paintbrush, you can really control your water. So I'm just going to take a little bit of water and then just gently tap. And that's going to create the water, and it's going to lift up the white underneath and create that water. That's good. So you can get the bigger drops you have, obviously, the bigger your spots are. And it just lightens up. It's like you put bleach on it or something. Now, if you want, you can hit it with your heat tool, or you can wait a minute. Now, the other thing I like to add is a little Wink of Stella, which is that little glitter. the glitter brush. These are out of stock right now, but I have some extra. So if somebody decides they want to order this month, this is my ordering gift. So if you place an online order in the store for whatever reason, if you need anything, I'm going to send out one of these, because I have a few extra since they're out of stock, and I'm glad I have a couple. All right, I'm flicking from my cap and putting some sparkle on here. The other thing that looks really great is white. If you have white craft paint, you can add a little white craft paint with some water and flick it. If you have the craft pad, which is white, you can squeeze your lid and open this up, and you can get your white ink out of here. Now this takes a little bit longer to dry, so I would use my heat tool because it's a pigment ink, but it does work well. I personally like white acrylic paint better, mixing it with a touch of water because it's a little more opaque than this is, but this still looks nice. See, we're gonna get that white splatter, which looks a little cosmic for the night sky. And again, we wait for it to dry, or we use our heat tool to heat it. I'm going to bring back my navy pad. Oh, not this one. I'm going to bring back the navy pad, and I'm going to stamp some of these here. Maybe one here. And I'm going to put one maybe over here, like that. And there's that little one. I'm just going to add a few of these down at the bottom. And then I'm going to take that swooshy stamp that comes there. I'm going to add a little swooshy, maybe right up here. Maybe one here. And how about one here? Okay, we're going to have our sentiment on there too. Now, if part of it bothers you, like it's bothering me a little bit, I've got too straight of a line right here, then you can just go in and fix that. Once everything is dry, you've got a little bit of time to kind of come in, soften those little lines right there so it's not like big bowling balls around them. Soften your lines and blend, and then you can finish it out. So I'll go back in and fix this one where there's that harsh line right there. But let me show you this one. Now on the back of my sentiment here, I just tied a gold bow out of twine and then added a bunch of dimensionals on there to hold it together, and added it on there. Let me show you the second one I was working on. Here is the second one. This one is less work. I still wanted a blue sky, so I'm using a boho blue. And the only thing is you've got to figure out how to make this yellow when you're stamping on a darker color. So this is what I did. Again, I'm going to just tack this down so it doesn't move. You can do all your splattering and everything like we did before, but if I were just to stamp this, you might not even know it's yellow. So for instance, if I stamp this up here, it doesn't look as bright as this does. So you have two different options. You can stamp it with white first. So if you want to stamp it with white ink, even though it takes a little bit longer to dry, you can stamp it with white and you can let it dry, and then you can stamp yellow over top of it. Let me show you over here. Now you can stamp over top of that with the yellow, or you could even take a colored pencil and you can draw in your yellow. This happens to just be a watercolor pencil, so you could do that. You could also start with white like this, with a white pencil, and then go back over it with yellow. So there's a few different ways, but you need to lighten it up enough. Oh, that looks pretty good actually. That might be my favorite, to do the white pencil and this over top of it. And then if you wanted to, you can go back over it with your Wink of Stella and make it sparkly, because it's going to make it more watery. That's not bad. Okay. So then these are just stamped on the same boho cardstock and cut out with the dies and added on top there. Now to assemble this guy right here, I cut it in black and then I cut it in the copper clay. And you can cut off, they got little perforations on here which are nice. So you can, they're easy to cut right here. Cut these off. And then you can layer that on. This would look so good with copper foil paper. It would look really good with bronze and golds. But once you do that, you can layer that right on top and glue it together. But there's one more little trick I want to show you because there's a light back here. And that's what makes it look great, is to have the light. This one I was playing around with. I thought, what if we used that designer paper in the annual catalog? This is Earth and Elegance that has all those cool textures. Look how cool that would be. Look at that. It's kind of fun. So to get that little white glow behind there, you put this on a piece of white paper and you just trace along the globe part right here. Trace here and here, right there. That's good, right there. And then trim that out. And kind of trim right to the inside line so you don't see it. You want to give yourself that little bottom piece so you have something to glue when it goes behind there. Same with the top, if you can kind of have that shape. Okay, and then that will just glue on there. Now to get your light in the right place, just put a little registration mark there, and then you can lift this up and stamp right there. Put a little Wink of Stella on there if you want to, a little glitter. And then behind here, you just glue that together. Just like that. Looks like a big egg. Let's see, egg yolk right there. And then anything that shows, you can just trim off from behind. Like I see just a wee bit of the white showing right there. I'm just gonna trim that off back there so we don't see it. Right there. That's what the back looks like. And then you can glue that together. And then we can glue the copper on. It just goes right on top. So that you get that real pretty double layer. This one I use the copper luster paper. There's a little bit of shine to it. It's actually a little crooked. So I like this one a lot. In both cases, they're the same size. I just put a little white behind there just to balance out the white. And I don't even have a sentiment on this one yet. Now there's so many sentiments that go with this. You've got all the ones with Lighting the Way, but the same font is in so many stamp sets, like So Sincere. And just look through your sets, you're gonna find things that are all the same font as that Lighting the Way. Well, give this technique a try. I hope you like it. And go stamp something. We'll see you next time. See it, learn it, stamp it.